The afternoon sun beat down on the steps of the courthouse as hundreds of protesters gathered, their voices rising in unison. Judge Patricia Williams had intended to slip out through the back entrance after a long day of hearings, but the crowd had spilled around the entire building. Instead of her usual black robes, she wore jeans and a simple white t-shirt, her judicial pin tucked away in her purse. Justice for Marcus. Justice for Marcus, the chants echoed off the marble walls. Judge Williams knew the case well, Marcus Henderson, a young black man shot by police during a traffic stop. She had been following the proceedings in the news, her heart heavy with the familiar weight of injustice she'd seen too many times in her 20-year career on the bench. As she tried to navigate through the peaceful crowd, a commotion erupted near the main steps. Mounted police had arrived, their horses snorting and stamping nervously as officers barked orders through megaphones. Disperse immediately. This is an unlawful assembly. Judge Williams frowned. She had reviewed the permits herself that morning. This was a legally sanctioned protest. The crowd had been peaceful, well within their constitutional rights. She pulled out her phone to document what she was witnessing, knowing that her testimony as a federal judge could be crucial if any legal challenges arose. Officer Derek Matthews, mounted on his bay horse Thunder, scanned the crowd with growing irritation. 3 hours into his shift, sweat stained his uniform, and his patience had worn thin. The protesters' chants grated on his nerves, and he was eager to clear the area, his eyes locked onto Judge Williams, who was now recording the police response on her phone. To him, she was just another agitator, another troublemaker documenting police activity to twist it into something it wasn't. You. Put that phone down. Matthews shouted, steering Thunder toward her. Judge Williams looked up, her expression calm but firm. Officer, this is a peaceful, legally permitted protest. These citizens have every right to. I said put the phone down. Matthews's voice rose as he urged his horse closer. Thunder, sensing his rider's agitation, danced sideways, bumping into several protesters. The crowd pressed back, creating a small circle around the judge. She remained steady, her legal training keeping her composed even as her heart rate quickened. Officer, I'm Judge Patricia Williams of the Federal District Court. I need to speak with your commanding officer immediately. But Matthews either didn't hear her over the noise or chose to ignore her words. In his mind, she was just another protester trying to talk her way out of trouble with false authority. Last warning, he yelled, and before anyone could react, he directed Thunder forward aggressively. The horse's shoulder struck Judge Williams, sending her stumbling backward into the crowd. Her phone clattered to the pavement as she fought to maintain her balance. Gasps and shouts erupted around her as protesters moved to help her up. Did you see that? He just attacked her. Someone call an ambulance. I got it on video. Judge Williams, though shaken, was more concerned about the escalation she saw brewing. Young protesters were shouting angrily at Matthews, their faces flushed with indignation. She could see this spinning out of control quickly. Everyone stay calm, she called out, brushing dirt from her clothes. Do not engage. Document everything, but do not escalate. Meanwhile, Matthews's radio crackled to life. Unit 47, be advised we have reports of an incident involving a federal judge at your location. Can you confirm? Matthews felt his stomach drop. Repeat that, dispatch? Federal Judge Patricia Williams was reportedly involved in an incident with mounted patrol. Do you have eyes on her? The officer's gaze swept the crowd again, this time with growing dread. He looked down at the woman he had just confronted, the same woman who was now calmly directing protesters to remain peaceful while checking on others who had been pushed in the commotion. Oh no, he whispered, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. Judge Williams retrieved her phone and approached Matthews, her expression stern but controlled. Officer Matthews, she said, reading his name tag, I need your badge number and your supervisor's contact information. Matthews's face had gone pale. His hands shook as he reached for his radio. Dispatch, I need a supervisor at my location immediately. Within minutes, Captain Rodriguez arrived on scene, his face grim as he surveyed the situation. Protesters continued recording as he approached Judge Williams. "Your Honor, I am deeply sorry for..." Judge Williams held up a hand. "Captain, we'll discuss this properly. Right now, I need you to ensure this protest continues peacefully as legally permitted. These citizens have done nothing wrong." The captain nodded quickly. "Of course, Your Honor. All units, maintain distance. This is a lawful assembly." As the immediate tension diffused, Judge Williams turned to address the crowd. Her voice carried the authority that had commanded courtrooms for 2 decades. "Friends, what happened here today is exactly why we protest. But our strength lies not in anger, but in our commitment to justice through proper channels. I promise you, as a federal judge who has sworn to uphold the Constitution, that what occurred here will be fully investigated." The crowd listened intently as she continued. "I was struck not because I'm a judge, but because Officer Matthews saw a black woman exercising her constitutional rights and decided she was a threat. This is the bias we fight against, the assumption that we don't belong, that we don't have rights, that we can't possibly hold positions of authority." Officer Matthews remained mounted nearby, his career flashing before his eyes. 22 years on the force, and in one moment of poor judgment, he had potentially destroyed everything. Judge Williams concluded her impromptu address. "Let my experience today strengthen your resolve. When the system fails us, we don't abandon it, we hold it accountable. That's what justice looks like." As the protest continued peacefully, Captain Rodriguez walked Matthews away from the crowd. "You're suspended pending investigation," he said quietly. "And Matthews? You better pray the judge is feeling merciful, because assault on a federal judge is a federal crime." The next morning, Judge Williams sat in her chambers, reviewing the incident reports and video footage that had flooded social media overnight. The video of her being struck by the horse had been viewed over 1 million times, sparking nationwide conversations about police accountability and judicial independence. Her phone buzzed with a text from her colleague, Judge Harrison. "Saw the news. Are you okay?" She typed back, "Physically, yes. But this incident illustrates exactly why we need systemic reform. I just happen to have the power to hold them accountable. What about the citizens who don't?" A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Her clerk entered with a stack of letters and emails. "Your Honor, these arrived overnight. Mostly support from legal colleagues and citizens, but also some concerning messages." Judge Williams nodded grimly. She had expected both praise and backlash. Standing up to police misconduct, even as a federal judge, would make her a target for some and a hero for others. 2 weeks later, Officer Matthews stood in her courtroom, facing federal assault charges. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The man who had attacked her was now subject to her judicial authority. Judge Williams recused herself from the case, but not before making a statement that would be quoted in legal journals for years to come. "The law must apply equally to all, regardless of badge or position. No one, not citizen, not officer, not judge, is above the Constitution we've sworn to protect." Officer Matthews ultimately pleaded guilty to assault and civil rights violations. He was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison and permanent removal from law enforcement. The city settled a civil lawsuit with Judge Williams, who donated the entire settlement to legal aid organizations, but perhaps most importantly, the incident led to comprehensive police reform in the city, including mandatory bias training and new protocols for handling lawful protests. Judge Williams returned to her bench with renewed purpose, knowing that her experience as both victim and arbiter of justice had given her unique insight into the work that still needed to be done. Justice, she often reminded her courtroom, is not just blind, it must be brave enough to see clearly when blindness fails. The protest that day had been about seeking justice for Marcus Henderson. In an unexpected turn, it had also become about holding the entire system accountable, one incident, one officer, and one judge at a time.